Hello and welcome back, everybody. Fallen Pumpkin here. We're doing something a little different today. I'm going to bring you along the journey of making the Docker compose file for an All the Mods 9 server we're going to be putting up. We're calling it a ultimate server. And that just means we're putting a lot of effort into it. I wanted to show you guys how I go about making the Docker compose, the programs I use, and in the description is links to like install Docker, the read the docs for HG Minecraft image, and the example files on GitHub. So why don't we start, guys? I'm going to be using for my editor today VS Code. VS Code. Now I have gone through and I have a lot of extensions that I've gone through and installed. Notably, I have Docker, which allows me to see the Docker syntax, as well as I have Visual VM for monitoring servers through JMX. And that's really all we're going to be using. We're not going to be getting into any other extensions, I think, but if we come across them, I'll try to go over them for you guys. So guys, here in VS Code, it's just like a... You could do this in like Notepad++. Heck, you could even do this in Notepad if you don't care about seeing the syntax of things. But I've gone ahead and I've preemptively prepared a folder here on the drive that the server will be running on. A .env file that has my CurseForge API in it. I don't want to leak that, and I'll show you guys how we'll link to it. And I've made a Docker Compose YAML file. Now you might be wondering, where did I get this starting? So you notice we have a starting document here of a Docker Compose for a Minecraft server. We went ahead, and if we pull this up, we went to the HG GitHub for examples, and one of their examples is in fact already All the Mods 9. That is the Docker Compose we have grabbed. We're going to be editing it quite a bit, but I do think we'll still stick pretty close to the original version in terms of keeping the base things that are already here. And we're going to be referencing a lot today the official HG Docker Minecraft server.read the docs. This tells you everything you need to know about compose files, and we're going to be copying and pasting code from here. That's going to be the way we'll go about it. But guys, I need to quickly do something. I'll be really fast, I promise. I just want us to make sure we have everything we need ready to go. But a big important thing that this requires is Docker, and we're using Docker Desktop on Windows through the Windows subsystem for Linux. It's entirely up to you where you're running your Docker, but that's just how we are going to go about it. So let's get started here. So we have our basic Docker Compose, and from the intro we can see that what we're doing is we're pulling the services of Minecraft with the image HG Minecraft server to get that image in your Docker. So this is Docker Desktop. We won't go over how to install it or anything like that. That is for others to teach and to look up. But you just search for images, and I just search HG. And we've grabbed Minecraft server as well as MC Backup. MC Backup. Now, why don't we make sure all our images are up to the latest version? We're just going to pull them all. I know it says latest, but I like to pull just to be refreshed and sure we have everything good to go. I don't know if we'll get into MC Backup today, but we'll get pretty far. So right here in this image, what we're going to do is, next up is ports. These are the ports of the server. This This is where all the port forwarding happens. Now, for most people, you're going to run this on 25565 external, as in this is the port on your computer that like your router is port forwarding. And then 25565 internal, as in this is what the port is showing in the container, like what port it's going to. I have a lot of Minecraft servers, and so I do have to do a little bit of changing of my outside port just for the forwarding I'm going to do. I'm actually going to put my external port on 25568. 25568. We haven't forwarded it yet. But what we can do is while we're testing, we'll keep it at 25565 because there's no need to have players connecting right now. So that's the image and the ports. Now this is where, like, let's say we want to do simple voice chat on the server, which we do. Let's take a look at simple voice chat on CurseForge. And you'll notice that it states, we may have to go to the GitHub. Let me check in just a second. Let me see if it shows it. Ah, yes. You need a port on the server. You need a UDP 24454. 24454. Back at reading the docs, if we take a look at configuration, or maybe not configuration, but I think it is one of the variables, and that is our ports on one of these. I know how to do it. I'm just seeing if I can find where it was here, but I am not seeing it immediately. Let's type port in the search, and we want port forwarding. Let's see if we can find anything about that in the read the docs. I know how to do it. I just wondering where it is in the docs. Keep in mind this is live. Let's come to server port. Custom server properties, we know all about that. I think I'm just going to show you guys how to do it. I know it's in the read the docs somewhere. It's in here somewhere, but what we're going to do is we're going to come down another line, dash in, and what we're going to add is a host port, container port protocol. And the port we want to run is 24454 to 24454. And it's not TCP, it is UDP. So that's going to add our simple voice chat server. Now, I'm also interested in running BlueMap. So why don't we pull up BlueMap? It's similar to DinMap, it's just better in every way. But I love BlueMap. BlueMap is a wonderful upgrade from DinMap. But if we take a look here at the getting started configuration, or it may be installation actually, we're going to see what port it needs. Now I know it's like 81 something. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, there's a BlueMap Docker image. I did not know that. We might try to use that. Cool, but we care about ports right now. We care about ports. Not quite server networks. It should just be under configuration, I think. Configure your maps, performance tweaking. Nope, none of these are what we're looking for. Using BlueMap on the CLI standalone with an SQL server. Installing BlueMap. This is the basic. Download the BlueMap jar. Let's just look for port really fast. Aha! Port to the second port that you got from your hosting provider. Yes, but I need the default port. I know it's like 8.1 something. Why don't we pull up BlueMap on CurseForge? And let's see if it tells us the port here. Otherwise, we can just download it and see what the default is. Okay, there it is. 8100. 8100. And I don't think we need to do any protocol changes for this. So let's just add a host port container port of 8100 to 8100. Beautiful. Okay, so ports are done. Ports are done. We'll worry about installing the mods later. Let's go ahead and continue down. If you were following the intro, it does mention that it recommends for remote controlling the server that you have TTY and STDN open. I'm going to go ahead and grab those, and we're going to put it in between the image imports. This allows remote controlling, basically. I think it goes... Nope. Tab in one. Is that right? Incorrect type expected string. What am I doing wrong? Oh, there's a space. There we go. So we have the image on, TTY is true, STDN open is true. We have our ports forward. Let's move on to environment. Sebastian says, you are also using the ITSG image. Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. I love the ITSG image. By far. By far. So we have the EULA true, which is what we want. And there's tons of variables we can add to our environment here, and we're going to go through doing a few of them. So we have the EULA true, that's what we want. Our mod platform is Auto CurseForge, that's also what we want. We don't need this comment line, as I have already made my API key. And right now it's using CurseForge page URL. Now, because of this, it will always install the latest version of all the mods 9. But the thing is I don't want it to update unless I tell it to. So if we come back over to the read the docs, come over to Auto CurseForge, we're going to take a look at some of the uses. So while there is CurseForge page URL, I kind of like to use we can keep it as CurseForge page URL, or we can change it to ID. But what I like to do is keep CurseForge page URL, and what we'll do is we'll come over to all the mods 9, we'll come to the files, the version we want, which is the big update, the 3.0. Yeah, the image is definitely highly customizable. And I'm going to copy the direct file link, which, I mean, we can just see is all the mods 9 and then files and 5564373. So that's the version we want. You could also, I mean, you could just paste it. That works too. And we're going to go from there. So I'm not going to worry about file name matcher. This is another way you could do it. I'll show you here. If we didn't add the files here, we could uncomment CurseForge file name matcher and change it so that it says 030. Now, memory, if we have a look here, under our memory, the image declares an initial and maximum Java memory heap limit. Instead of using memory, I'm a big fan of using init. Here, let me type it here. See if I can get it to autofill for me. Let's see. Init memory. Init memory. And this is going to be the initial heap size. And I like to keep it at the 4 gig. I like the 4 gig. And then this might be a little controversial, but I get lots of players, guys. So we're going to put our max memory to start at 16 gigs. Now, I am aware of the issues of going to such high memory limits, and I do use the adjusted ICAR flags. This is just because of the amount of players I'm expecting. I'm expecting around 30 players to be online at a time, to where we may even have to up it later, but we'll see. We'll see. Now we can come in, we can read some of these variables we can set. So we went ahead and set those. You can also set the time zone to match yours in the Docker instead of using universal time zone. I want mine to say my time. So we're going to go ahead and add a TZ of, I believe I type MST. I could be wrong. We'll see if it composes later. Another log thing we're going to do is we're going to add enable rolling logs as true, because the logs fill up fast, like stupid fast. So we'll keep enable rolling logs on true, and give me just a second here. I need to see if that's my wife. All right, so we've enabled rolling logs. Continuing down here, I do want remote JMX. That does mean we're going to have to set some server properties, but that is fine. Remote JMX allows me to do some monitoring. And granted, some of the things I'm doing, it's been a while, so we'll see if it actually works. So if we read, it next says for JMX host, if JMX is enabled, which we did, set JMX host to the IP/host running the Docker container and add a port forwarding of TCP port 7091. So let's add a JMX host. And I'm assuming, I could be wrong here, we're just going to grab our local IP, which is 192.168. Perfect. Now, this is just a local IP. This is like on my LAN, so I'm not worried about that. So there is our JMX host. And then we need to add a TCP port forward of 7091. So let's come back up to our ports. And we're going to add host port container with protocol 7091. 7091, and this needs to be TCP. Beautiful. Now here's where I mentioned the ICAR flags earlier. We are going to use ICAR flags. It greatly improves your server performance. Oops. Oh, did I not copy that right? Doesn't seem to want to paste. Use ICAR flags as true. Doing it this way with the environment variable instead of setting them individually in extra args allows this to automatically update them to if you're more than 12 gigs of RAM. So we've got that. JVM ops we don't need to use. JVM XX ops we don't need to use. DD ops we don't need to use. Extra args we don't need. And log timestamp we don't need to change at all. Now this is where we need to change some server settings. This is where the server settings are going to come in. I'm going to add a little commented line and just say server settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to start coming through here. So we already have the EULA. We already have Auto Curse Forge. We don't need to worry about type. We don't need to worry about version. But why don't we set a message of the day? Now there is, because we are using Curse Forge, check this out. We come over to, let me remember where it is. It's a, miscellaneous options, I think. It has a really cool thing about message of the day. Let's type MOTD. Message of the day. Perfect. So if you are using Curse Forge, like Auto Curse Forge, it has the ability to auto grab Modpack name, Modpack version. This is something I haven't been doing in the past, but I want to do this time. So our message of the day, we are just going to grab running the default here, running Modpack name version environment Modpack version. And I'm going to change this from running to FPK. FPK Modpack name version environment Modpack version. Beautiful. I think that'll look good. And then we could do a little bit of color coding, but I think we'll save that for another day. We'll save that for another day. Let's go back to our variables we're setting here. And next up is difficulty. So let's go down a line, do our difficulty, and our pack is going to be played on hard. Next up, icon. We don't need to mess with the icon. We don't need to override the icon. We're going to go to max players. Max players, and the default is 20. We're going to set it to 30. Max world size, we're not going to worry about right now. We don't need to change allow nether. It's already defaulted true. Announce player achievements is defaulted true. Enable command block, I do want on my server because we do a little bit of command block shenanigans. So let's set that to true. Keep going down here. Force game mode, we don't need to worry about with that. Generate structures, we're good. Hardcore is good because we're reading the defaults. If the defaults are what we want, we don't need to change anything. So continuing down, the max build height, spawn animals, spawn monsters, NPCs, spawn protection, we're good there. But here is view distance. View distance. Now, in the official All the Mods Discord, let me see if I can pull it up here. There is recommended server settings. I'm going to see if I can still see them. Yeah, okay, here it is. For the best performance, we're actually going to only have a view distance of 6. Now, we're not concerned about this because there's Farsight included in the pack, and then people can also install Distant Horizons if they want longer view distances. But there's our view distance. We're not going to worry about the seed. We don't need to change the mode. In this case, for this server, PvP is in fact going to be false. Is going to be turned off. Now, continuing down here, we don't need to change our level type. We don't need to change our generation settings. We're not going to change the level settings. Online mode. Allow flight needs to be true, but the pack sets it itself. Let's just play it safe and set it to true. And yo, Miner Man here. How you doing, Miner Man? Good to see you. Guys, here is the server name. Now, server name, interestingly enough, I think has a different use than message of the day. If we go ahead and type in server name, come to the properties section, it's mainly for bungee cord, so we don't need to set that. That's right, we don't need to set that. So let's keep going down. We don't need to change the port. We're good there. Player idle timeout. Now this is in minutes. This is in minutes, guys. Player idle timeout. Let's do a 60-minute player idle timeout. So if people are AFK for that long of time, for 60 minutes, they will be disconnected, and we're going to keep that. Now, why don't we look up sync chunk writes? Because if I remember correctly, I think our performance mods will handle this, so I'm not actually going to change that. Let's keep going down here. Enable status, we don't need to change. Entity broadcast range, we're good, we're good, we're good. Op permission level, we're going to keep default. We're not going to prevent VPNs, but we do need to set our simulation distance. So similar to our view distance, which was 6, why don't we actually add it here? We're going to do a simulation distance of 4 for server performance. YouTube only stream, nice. Yeah, I don't think this would be good for Twitch right now. Now another environment variable we can set, this one would go up here, is execute directly. If you would like Docker attached to the Minecraft server console with color and interactive capabilities, then set to true. I do want that. So coming back up here, exec directly, we're going to go ahead and set that to true. Stop server announce delay. Now this we need. This is to a number of seconds to delay after announcement is posted by the server. We are going to add a stop server delay of 1 minute. 1 minute. We don't need to do a proxy. We don't need a console. We don't need to worry about the GUI. Stop duration needs to be the same. We need a 60 second, but it looks like that is already the case. Setup only. This is if you don't want the server to completely launch. We're not going to change that right now. Hey Fallen, finished work in time to catch some of the stream. How you doing, Kai? When do you expect the server to be up? Once I have it running to a degree we are happy with. To a degree we are happy with. Now, this server is going to be whitelisted, so we are going to enable whitelist. For now. And I'm not going to set the configs here for the whitelist. I'm going to do a whitelist file later. If anyone's interested in knowing how to do that, I'll show you guys later. Riftical says, we making servers today. Yes. We're preparing a ultimate all the mods 9 server. Brian coming in as well. Hi, Fallen. Heyo. How you guys doing? Enable Archon. We don't need to change. By default, it is true. But we do need to set an Archon password. Now, I'm going to set this password after we're done here. But what I can do is place this. Enable Archon password. And this is where you would set your Archon password. But I don't want to show that on stream. Broadcast Archon to ops. I actually want that as true rather than false, which is the default. So broadcast Archon to ops. Let's go ahead and set that to true. Archon commands can be configured to execute when the server starts. We don't need to run any of those right now. We don't need to run on disconnect or last disconnect. We're pretty much good there. We're not going to use any auto pause feature or auto stop feature. We're going to save these for later. And we already have our CurseForge prepared. Why don't we see how this image does? Let's see how it does. So what we're going to do is go ahead and save this. And I'm going to add a... Is this the right... Open current folder and container? Is that right? No, I'm just going to do it the way I know, which is we're going to come over to our Ultimate All the Mods 9 server where our Docker Compose is. And we're going to open this in a shell terminal. Now, I apologize. My text is small. Let me fix that for you guys really fast. Might be under... I don't think it's startup. I keep my text small because I have a lot of terminals up at a time. And I just want to... quickly, I think if I come here, starting directory, icon, tab title, I swear it was an appearance. There it is. I'm going to bring our font size up for you guys. Okay, so you guys should be able to see. Now, opening the terminal in here, we're going to docker compose up D, and that should create our network volume container. So, coming over into Docker, in our containers, we should now have Alt All the Mods 9 starting. Let's see if we're running into any errors so far. So right now, it is just downloading all of the mods. So that worked. That worked. That's good to know. Let's let the server download, see if it starts up, and we'll go from there. I'll catch you later, miner. We'll let it go through, then we'll stop the server and we'll check the configs to see if all of the configs worked. Now, we need to do, for the Ultimate server, I need to do a bunch of configuring of FTP ranks, of custom Cube.js scripts to disable some overpowered items, and quite a few things. But I want to see if the compose file we have made so far works. So right now, made the args. Let's see if it says JMX is enabled. Make sure you have port 14 for 7091. We do. Why don't we come back over to Virtual Studio Code while this is running and make an attempt to Visual VM it. I'm going to select the process of, oh gosh, how do I, I'll worry about that later. I'll worry about that later of showing you guys what I'm doing. Unless I could try. Let's come to Alt All the Mods 9. Yeah, we don't have the Forge files that I can show right now, I don't think. Yeah. So we'll worry about Visual VM later. I need to learn a little bit more about how to use it. But now we can see over here all the data that the Docker Compose is running with. And we want to take a look to make sure some of the things we wanted running are running and our values are where they are supposed to be. So the HG Minecraft server is working. That looks good. Let's come into data. We should have Yep, the config. The mods should all be installed. And what we're going to take a look at here is I want to see if our server settings, our server properties, worked here. So let's have a look here. Difficulty hard, allow flight true, FPK all the mods 9 version 3.0. It worked, guys. It worked. Our compose has composed. As a funny way to say it. Now you can attach more volumes to add mods, save configs for an image. I'm not going to worry about that necessarily for this case because I'm not going to repeat this container on another computer. But I wanted to just bring you guys along for creating this compose file. This is pretty much it. This is all we needed. Now I'm going to add mods. I'm going to configure the ports on my router. I'm going to do configs. But this stream was specifically to go over creating the compose file. And as we can see, the server is online and running. If we come to our containers, it should do the health monitoring here soon for memory usage and CPU usage, but we can go ahead and take a look at our details here. It's looking good across the board, looking good, looking good. And then let me just check that everything went well. I think it did. I don't think I am showing my CurseForge API. Yeah, we're good. Cool. So ladies and gentlemen, that was creating the compose file. There's still a lot to do to bring this server online, but I know a lot of people have been wondering how to make the compose file. So I hope this helps. And I'm going to work on finishing out the settings for the server and trying to bring it online today. And people will be able to begin trying to get in through the whitelist, or supporters will have instant access. We'll go over more of that on the stream focused on the server. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you may be in the world. And thanks for watching. Consider leaving a like and subscribing, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, because maybe we can do a part 2 of follow-up of any questions people have regarding the compose file. Catch you later.